Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm looking, yes. My name is Hilda Merwis. I'm president of the Friends of Liberty Republican Club, and I just want to share something special with you. This is a silver dollar. Do you remember what's on a silver dollar?
Liberty.
The Lady Liberty. And every time I think about what we are all about, it's on this coin. I would like to introduce at this time now, John is really well known in our community. He is the retired Palm Beach County Fire Rescue Captain. Hold your applause, because you're going to applause again. You know why? Because guess where he was located? In our fire rescue area, right on Lyons off Century Village, which is, he took care of us for many, many years. He's actually 27. And he do you look like, nah, he doesn't look a day older than, I'm not saying
27
what.
years I spent in that firehouse. 27 years. Wow.
So he's so appropriately dressed for us, and he is going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
One nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm going to do something better. Please be seated, everybody.
And he is going to do something better. He's dressed for it. He's setting our tone for the evening, as you can see, who we are and what we are about. So I'm going to sit right here for a moment and enjoy it with you.
Thank you. This microphone is dead, so you'll hear me.
Why don't you give me your microphone?
Yeah.
I was born on July 4th, 1776, and the Declaration of Independence is my birth certificate. The bloodlines of the world run through my veins, for I offer freedom to the oppressed. I am many things to many people. I am the nation. I am over 300 million living souls and ghosts of millions who have died for me. I'm Amelia Earhart, Betsy Ross, and Rosie the Riveter. I am Nathan Hale and Paul Revere. I stood at Lexington and fired the shot heard round the world. I am Washington, Jefferson, and Patrick Henry. I am Generals Lee, Grant, Eisenhower, Patton. I am Abraham Lincoln and Franklin D. Roosevelt. I remember the Alamo, the Maine, and Pearl Harbor. When freedom called, I answered and stayed until it was over. Over there. I left my heroic dead on Flanders Field, the rocks of Corregidor, the bloody hills of Korea, and the steaming jungles of Vietnam, the deserts of Iraq, and Afghanistan. I am the Brooklyn Bridge, the rolling wheat fields of Kansas, and the watchful granite hills of Vermont. I am the coal fields of the Virginias, Pennsylvania, Grand Canyon, and California's Golden Gate. I am Independence Hall, the Monitor, and the Merrimack. I am forest, field, mountain, and desert. I am quiet villages and the cities that never sleep. I am the ballot box, the roar of crowds, and the voices of the choir in the chapel. You see me in the light of Christmas and hear me in the strains of Auld Lang Syne as the calendar turns each year. Yes, I am the nation, and these are the things that I represent. I was conceived in freedom, and God willing, in freedom I'll spend the rest of my days. May I possess always the integrity, the courage, and the strength to keep myself unshackled, to remain the citadel of freedom and the beacon strength to the rest of the world. This is my goal, my hope, and my prayer. Thank you.
God bless.
My name is John Fisher. I'm available for any events all over the country. And Memorial Day is coming up, 4th of July is coming up, and I'm available for any campaign event. So John Fisher is my name. Thank you.
Before I turn the program over to Shmuel Schuster, who is vice president of our organization, I would appreciate if everyone stood again. Would you please rise? This coming Monday is Memorial Day, and I would like for all of us to remember the brave fallen through so many conflicts and who have kept us safe. And it certainly helps us to remember where we came from. So a moment of silence, everyone, please. Thank you very much. And now it is my pleasure to introduce you to Shmuel Schuster. As I said, he's the Friends of Liberty Republican Club Vice President, and he will share a few words with you. Following that, we will be introduced to this wonderful, wonderful representation of our community, and we're happy to have you here.
Thank you.
I just came back from Honolulu, and I went to the Arizona. It was very dramatic. I just wanted to say that. First, I'm going to have a little prayer for everybody. May the Lord bless you and guard you.
I think we need to stand for the invocation.
Huh?
Want to stand for the invocation?
Okay, everybody.
Please stand again. This is just good exercise.
Good exercise. Keep the blood flowing. May the Lord bless you and guard you. The Lord make his countenance to shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his countenance towards you and grant you peace.
Amen.
So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Friends of Liberty Republican Club's second candidates night. I want to give a quick update on where we are in the current electoral process. Redistricting is now complete, and we are now in the new Congressional District 23. This is now an open seat. Before we introduce the candidates, I want to remind everybody that elections do have consequences. Have you been to the gas station lately? Gas went up like 30 cents this week. It's pushing $6. For some of us, it costs $100 to fill up the tank. The food prices are astronomical. You know, the Democrats like to say that the Republicans are killing Social Security. What's killing Social Security more than inflation? So anyway, I'd like to thank God that we have Governor DeSantis, the best governor in the country. And I'd like to thank God that we have Senator Marco Rubio, who's been supporting the police. And despite all the defund the police thing, he's been right there for the police and for us. So anyway, I'm not going to talk long. Keep in mind, let's hear how our candidates are going to show us how to defend our Bill of Rights and Constitution. We will give each candidate 3 minutes. I'm going to give over the mic to Marcia Stern now, who's going to moderate the discussion with the candidates.
Thank you, Shmuel.
What do I do?
Okay.
Okay. And do I keep it or give it up?
Marshall,
So you're gonna ask me all
turn
the
a little
questions?
more towards the audience.
Okay.
A little more.
Hello? Testing?
Let me see your face.
Okay, we will give each candidate 4 minutes for introductory remarks. And please include why you feel you are the most qualified candidate and what you hope to achieve once elected. Then I will ask 1 or 2 questions to each of
One
of
thing at
you.
a time.
Not now, afterwards. After which we will open up the floor for brief questions from the audience. So let us begin with candidates who are running in our new Congressional District 23. Dr. Steve Chess.
Thank you.
please.
Good evening. Do you want me to stand?
Yeah.
My name's Steve Chess, and I've been here a number of times. Y'all pretty well know me. I'm not going to go over and tell you things I can't do. I'm going to tell you things I can do. First of all, I want to tell you I'm very saddened tonight. It's very difficult for me to speak. I do not like what took place in Texas. Everyone's aware of it, so I'm not going into it. All I can say, it's shameful that our representatives, our government doesn't harden the schools. It's also shameful, in my opinion, that the media keeps running these ads over and over again and actually gives this gentleman, who is a coward, who shot children, more media time than they give you for Social Security, they give you about the food prices, they give you about anything. It's disgusting. And I think that this community should come and write letters and shame these media companies into not portraying these people as anything more than despicable and shameful people. In my time, when I grew up, the families would be shamed and everyone in the community would be ashamed of what they had produced. I hope you understand where I'm coming from. I'm an older guy and I don't like to see what's going on today. What else do you want me to say, ma'am? I'm very upset.
Okay, that's it. Thank you,
Thank you.
Steve. Jim Pruden?
Well, good evening. It's good to see you all again, and thank you for having me here. I'll answer the question that was, the moderator had asked us to answer, and that is, why I'm the candidate for your selection. And again, my name is Jim Pruden, and I ran in the 2020 election against Ted Deutsch. Okay, and I had the best results against Ted Deutsch than anybody else that ever challenged him in the past. In fact, myself and Clay Shaw had the most votes in this area in the last 30 years. And the reason for that is that I've been the most qualified candidate to come forward. I have a master's degree in business and economics. I have a Juris Doctor in law. I have 2 full careers behind me of experience. I had 22 years in technology and business. I was an executive vice president of a public company that was traded on the New York Exchange. I was part of the original development team of the IBM personal computer, which is something that I'm proud of because that's part of one of the most significant developments in the 20th century. And I was part of the original development team, and part of that, I worked also in strategic planning at the IBM Corporation. And so when I finished, a good 22 years in business and technology, and wrapped up my master's degree, I did go back to law school and came out and practiced as a business attorney. So I did business and commercial work for another 23 years. I practiced before the state courts, the federal courts, the Court of Appeals. I'm admitted to the Florida Supreme Court, and I have extensive experience in transactional law. That means that I've done a number of business-related transactions. I've handled domestic and international transactions, mergers and acquisitions. I handle technology, intellectual property. I know about manufacturing, distribution, and a whole assortment of agreements. I helped a lot of companies in our area get off the ground and be very successful and prosperous. And so, again, we were very successful in the last campaign. We're the leading candidate by far. I just qualified for the candidate or for the ballot. We got enough petitions to qualify without having to pay the $10,400 fee. So I'm the only candidate, Republican candidate in District 23 right now that so far is qualified by petition. So we still have tremendous amount of support from the community. I've been all over the community. Everybody remembers me, they recognize me, they support me, they're glad that I'm running again, and we're going to give it a hard run. Now, one of the things that I want to do when I get up to Congress, I've had discussion with Jim Jordan about this. We have a couple areas that are very significant. One is that we have to have a number of investigations to dive into a number of crimes that have been committed, quite frankly, within our own government. In addition to working on legislative platforms, I've handed out brochures that talk about what my legislative agenda is. But in addition to that, I'm going after a seat on the House Judiciary Committee because I will be part of the investigation process. And in particular, I know that a lot of people were all upset about individuals who did no harm on January 6th. We have individuals that were arrested merely for being outside the Capitol. They did not even go in the building. They were arrested. They were held without bail. They were held without speedy trial. They were held without due process. And they were subjected to cruel and unusual punishment. And quite frankly,
30 seconds.
That's quite alarming because for the first time since the Civil War, we have been holding political prisoners by our government, which is unacceptable. And I want to be part of that investigation. So again, I've got extensive agenda for legislation, and I've got extensive plans for investigation and use my skills I've got in doing that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jim. Darlene Swaffer.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Darlene Swaffer. I'm running to be your Congresswoman for Florida's District 23. I'm a local entrepreneur. I run a successful Medicare health insurance brokerage company, and some of you may know me as the Medicare lady. That's my trademark. I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I've been here for 29 years. I've served my community with distinction. I've served on many business chambers and boards and held leadership positions in the community, all in an unpaid capacity because I have a heart for service. And with regards to my background, I have over 35 plus years in corporate business experience, and it goes back from business banking, private banking. I was a corporate recruiter for 8 years. I was in the mortgage industry for about 3 years. I worked for Wells Fargo, worked for Citicorp, very global companies where I learned a lot of my business acumen and customer service skills. And for the last 11 years, I've been in the Medicare and health insurance industry, and for the last 5 years as a business owner and entrepreneur. So that's a little bit about my background. With regards to endorsements, in South Florida, we are the most endorsed and vetted campaign in the entire area. Our endorsements include Congressman Bob McEwen, we have Brigitte Gabriel, we have Restore Liberty, Veterans for America First, Roger Stone, Republican National Hispanic Assembly, Christians United for America, the Black PAC, Latinos for America First, and we have many, many more, and we have a couple more that are coming in, but I never announce it until it's official and in writing or in video. You can find all this information on our website, swafferforcongress.com. Two really big pieces of information on our campaign is we have a legal task force headed by Peter Tickton, Esquire. And if you know who he is close personal friends with President Donald J. Trump. He was his college roommate, best friends, and he heads our legal team because our goal is to uncover all the corruption that's happening right here in South Florida. Some of it includes title fraud against our very own seniors. Some of it has to do with election integrity. Some of it has to do with normal corruption within our elected officials. And we're looking to take them down. We're looking to arrest them and clean house. We also have an election integrity task force that we created, headed by Cheryl Henderson and Anna DeSenz. And on our page, we have an election integrity page. There's information on how to become a poll watcher, and there's also information on how to become a poll worker. If you want to work for Broward County Supervisor of Elections or Palm Beach, There's an hourly rate, so work, do something amazing for our country to watch how elections are happening and get paid for it. So all that information is on our website. And I'm running for office because I am a very angry Hispanic conservative woman. I'm angry that we went through lockdowns and a lot of small businesses went out of business. I'm angry that my son had to do virtual learning and started getting Fs, which is something he never did get. I'm angry that we had to wear masks on planes. And you know, I'm the first Hispanic woman to ever run for Congress in Broward and Palm Beach County's history. And that's a really big deal, and I'll tell you why. The Democrats, for all intents and purposes, do not expect Black or Hispanic conservatives to be Republican. And the only way to fight against their radical narrative is to send one of your own that dispels that narrative. And that's the strength that I can bring. Besides my background, my business background, I feel that we are poised to capture the vote. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Darlene. And now it's time to turn this over to the Florida State House candidate, Christina Ducasse. Did I say it right?
Yes, thank you. Hi everyone, I am Christina Ducasse and I am running for state representative in District 91, which is this district. My husband is a firefighter, paramedic for Boca Raton Fire Rescue, and I am running as a candidate here. I support firefighters as well as police. I'm for school choice and medical freedom, and I like to say that I am a candidate for the people. I'm not your typical politician. I'm really in this for the people, to put the power back in your hands. So thank you so much for having me. If you want a business card, I have those on the table, as well as these flyers, and that has my platform and ways for you to contact me. My website is electchristina.com, and you can find out a little bit more about me there, or if you want to connect with me after, please feel free to come get me. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina. And now, last but not least, Peggy Gossett-Seidman. You have a say.
Hi everyone, that's my son, the law student. Thank you, Austin Max. Hi, he and his two siblings, both in medical field, a doctor and a PA, grew up out here. Hi and Florence Seidman are my in-laws. They recently passed. And they grew up feeding the ducks and playing cards at the clubhouse and waiting in the pool. And this is like our second home. So thank you for having us back. My husband, Barry Seidman, is in the audience. He's an MD. He keeps me well. So I want to tell you why I'm running. I'm a commissioner in Highland Beach. I've been elected twice. The second time I ran unopposed. I have widespread votes in the community. The first time I ran, I defeated 4 men. Sadly, 2 of them were veterans, and I apologized. The reason I ran in Highland Beach is we had real safety and security issues and financial issues. And that's why I'm running now for you all, because I feel like anyone I talk to, my college roommates, my next door neighbor, the people at Publix, what we're concerned about is the taxes, the funds we're expending for cat food, dog food, our own food, the gas prices. I needed a new vehicle. I couldn't find a vehicle in the entire state of Florida. We found one. My husband had to ship it up to me in Tallahassee, where I was there appropriating funds for our community. I was able to get $1,600,000 for Highland Beach this year. Thank you. And the truck blew. I have a truck because I'm driving kids to school still. So I got a new truck, but we couldn't find one. There were no parts to fix my old one. There was no remanufactured part, no new. And then I come home and I can't get cat food. I can't get dog food. And I think we're all tired of this. And look who's in charge. The Republicans are not in charge of the country. We are in charge of Florida, and we need to stay in charge of Florida. And the reason I'm running too is that I know I can do the same job for you. I am currently supported by the current state representative, Mike Caruso, who appropriated $12 million last year for the Jewish community in West Boca. And he called me up and said, would you please run, because they moved my district north from Manalapan to Juno Beach, and you need to keep going what I've gotten done for West Boca, Boca Raton, and Highland Beach. And I said, no. And he called again and he said, you gotta run. And I said, okay. I'm also supported by the current Speaker of the House, Chris Sprouse, the Speaker-elect, Paul Renner, and Rick Roth, the representative of West Point. You might have heard of him. He's a farmer. He's the cool guy who, when there's a trouble in a community, loads up his trucks and sends food to the communities, including Boca Raton during the pandemic. So I want to say that I've got the party behind me. I'm ready to go and fight for Boca Raton. They're currently sending a lot of our funding to Jacksonville and Orlando, and we in Boca Raton do not want to lose our funding. We need money for schools, synagogues, the roads. Look at the traffic. I can't get anywhere. It's like triple time anymore. We need to fix that. In Highland Beach, I got appropriations placed every year in my 5 years serving there. We bought a police boat and had it in the water in 2 months with a cute little woman captain this tall, and boy is she tough. And you know why? Because we had 2 deaths on the Intercoastal in 5 months. 2 people died in boating accidents. 2 separate accidents. Right, and we also put cameras at each end of our town. You can't come in or go out without being on our license plate reader. If you're in a stolen car, boom, the police know and they're after you. This is what I want to do in Boca Raton. Look at Federal Highway. It was flooded last week. There were 15 cars being towed. No. And then they want to narrow Palmetto Park Road to 2 lanes. So the people, no, the council, they're not thinking. The people can't get to and from shops, schools, synagogues, churches, restaurants. No, you can't take 2 lanes away from already a 4-lane road. I need to get out there and do what I can do, raising 3 kids in this community, getting common sense solutions for our problems, getting our grocery shelves restocked, and our gas stations prices down. Thank you very much. Vote Peggy Gossett.
Thank you, Peggy. Candidates, thank you for your informative statements. Now I have the follow-up question for you. So the first one, when you're in Congress, how will you respond to the extreme progressive socialist position on the many different issues?
I guess I go again first.
You can go first. And please keep your statements brief. Thank you.
Go. I was very upset when I spoke to you earlier. The question that she asked is why I'm the best candidate. I needed to address that while I address this social radical deal. Basically, I'm the best candidate because I check all the boxes. I've never run for office. I'm the only candidate here who really doesn't need a job. I'm retired. Secondly, I'm Jewish and I'm Christian. Thirdly, I'm a veteran. Fourthly, I'm a Republican. Fifthly, I'm born and raised here, have gone through 72 years of being in Broward County and watching what's taking place. Now I'm going to address the social issues. There's only 2 issues involved here. They are truth, honesty, and integrity. I believe in the Bible and the Constitution, and that's where I stand, and that's what I stand with. If you can't believe in America and our Constitution, you need not be here. Thank you very much. I don't want to take all your time.
Same question?
Same question. Hilton, what'd you do?
Okay, well, I'm glad you asked that question. A lot of people see what's going on out there in the world, and we have kind of like a high-level view of the damage that's being done. And the reality is that the average person out there really doesn't understand how dire our situation is with our country. And I follow the executive orders, I read the legislation, the 2,500-page bills, and I understand how to read that material, understand where it's going. And frankly, ladies and gentlemen, we are really in trouble because there's a movement within our own government. It's in our academic institutions. It's in our American industry, and it's being driven on a national and international basis through the World Economic Forum. There is an attack on free market capitalism. There is a movement that wants to eliminate free market societies and transform every country in the world, not just the United States, but transform every country in the world to a socialist state. John Kerry made his position very clear for the administration. He appeared at the World Economic Forum and brazenly announced that the Biden administration is on board with the Great Capitalist Reset. And if you haven't read about the Great Capitalist Reset, what that's all about is that's a vision of the World Economic Forum to transform every free market society into a socialist state. And so my objective is to go up to the Congress and advance programs to eradicate socialism from our business ventures, to get rid of the Chinese Communist Party's influence in our country, that's in our government, our administration, our media, and our American industry. They own 2,400 significant businesses inside the United States, and one of the things I want to do is cause them to be divested of that, force them to sell their interest and remove their influence on our society, because they're involved with bringing down, our free market society. So that's just a snippet. There's a lot to be done, but I'll tell you that, again, because of my background experience, I understand how to address this and how to attack it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
I think it's a really good question, but it's a challenging question for any one person to answer. And the reason why I share that is if you go back to Congressman Thomas Massey out of Kentucky when he first became a congressman, or Allen West when he was first elected, they voiced their concerns how as rookies, they're basically put in a quarter and asked to fundraise for the next 2 years just to get reelected. And it's through seniority that you get appointed or recommended for committees. And so what I did with that knowledge is I reached out to America First candidates running all over the country. We're talking about Willie Montague out of Orlando, Errol Weber out of California, Laverne Spicer that's running in district, against Frederica Wilson, so I don't remember the number right now that it's changing to. Brandon Wilkinson out of Missouri. There's many, many candidates that we have. It's a coalition where we banded together during CPAC and signed our own contract with America. And if you know anything about the contract with America that was signed in the 90s, that was led by Newt Gingrich, and the Heritage Foundation helped write the content of that contract. And basically what the congressmen and women who were running said, if you elect me, this is what we promise to do. And that's what we're doing. It's a coalition of America First candidates that are saying, we need to send an army. It's not just one voice. And we have to go through a re-education in America to understand where our rights are. I don't know where the tipping point happened, where the government was stealing power away from the states, but we have to go through a re-education process to remind people that we are the ones that have the power. And we have to educate these radicals on when they are unconstitutional, when they're trying to write legislation that will further erode our rights. But an army is what can battle against that. And there's only one solution, and that is for us to take control over the House and the Senate and America. So we have to win more seats, we have to take back the power, and that's how we can achieve it.
Thank you, Darlene. Christina.
So, as I said before, I'm a candidate for the people. I think it's time that we elect officials that put the power back in your hands, as opposed to taking the power and making these decisions for you. So I really want to be that candidate that puts the power back in your hands and not in the elite few that take control and govern over the people. So.
Thank you, Christina. Peggy? Here.
Thank you, great question. Let me tell you my experience with socialism and communism. Before I was a mom and a Highland Beach commissioner, I was the first sports writer at the Palm Beach Post. Then, Women's Tennis Association hired me to do their PR internationally. I went to Berlin before the wall fell. I went to the Berlin Wall with Chris Everett's mom, and we stood there and looked at East Berlin, and it was great. There was not a smidgen of color, and I cried, and Mrs. Everett cried. Then I go to Wimbledon, and the car pulls up, and they said, you have to escort this lady upstairs. She flounces out of the car. We're in London, security everywhere. It was Princess Diana. I took her to tea in the tea room with Chris Everett. Then I go to the US Open in London. No problems, no problems. Go to the US Open. Go there, and it was 1983. And all of a sudden the Russian players with their coach Olga Morozova come rushing out with their bags. I just looked up the date. It was September 1, 1983. They flew out. We said, what happened? They said, we have to go. Our government called us back. Russia had downed the Korean airliner and it crashed, and they called all their players back. That's socialism. They can't play tennis. They can't live. We do not want to go that route in America, nor does England. It is a bad situation. What is going on now is a very subversive group of people trying to get us there. They're a CRT. They're teaching us to hate other races, other colors, other creeds, other religions. The Jewish vote is very important. A gentleman here just mentioned this is the largest group of Jewish people outside of New York City and Israel, is in Boca Raton. The Jewish vote has to come out and help elect people who will fight this subversive method of indoctrinating our kids in schools. I have a friend whose kindergartner was being taught KKK type language in Boca Raton at a public school. It is a shame. You know what he did? He pulled her out and put her in private school, 5 years old. I read the books that the governor has pulled. Horrific books teaching a child, if a 5-year-old doesn't want to be a girl or a boy, go see the teacher and they can tell you how to dress and where to go for help. No call to the parents. These are major problems. And you all probably have kids and grandkids and maybe great-grandkids. You don't want them to go through this. This is not the world we grew up in. It's not the world I grew up in. I didn't know who went to church or synagogue or mosque where I grew up in Michigan when I was a kid. We all got along, and we have to get back to that place. And I think Florida has done a great job with Governor DeSantis and getting our safety and security. And his leadership, including Representative Caruso, whose wife, Tracy Caruso, is a Jewish woman, he has worked very hard to get into the leadership in the state of Florida, to get this taken care of at a high level. And so is the Senate. Randy Fine was just here. He is the only Jewish representative, the only elected Jewish person in the House of Representatives. How can that be? I think there's only like 14 women. How can that be? We have to improve our groups of people at the House, at the state, and we have to keep working with the governor and the leadership to get these problems corrected in Boca Raton, South Florida, Palm Beach County, and the state of Florida, and then let our leaders fight it at the national level. We can't go the same route as Berlin and Korea and Russia. We cannot go that route, and we are slowly inching there if we don't get ourselves together. So I will work hard to keep our faiths free, our abilities to wear a mask or not, our ability to buy a car or not, and at least have a choice on the car lot and a choice of cat food. I will work hard to make that happen. Thank you.
Get the other ones up there. Let me get it for you.
Can I ask you one more question? No, one more question.
I'd like to ask one more question. I think we have time. Real quick. Okay. I've always been very frustrated watching the Democrat Party unite. They all stick together. So we have a new Republican Party now. So when in Congress, as a new representative, how will you help create unity among your Republican colleagues?
I get to
Who
go
wants
first.
to? You can get to go
I
first.
want to go first, but if I have to, I've been here. I'll be happy to, I guess.
Listen, I'm one of 435 when elected. Of the 435, 170 are attorneys. 16 are physicians. Of the 16, 14 are Republican physicians. Now you understand why we get the stupidity coming out of Washington that we get, okay? They have no idea what health is. They have no idea what good science is. And they've proven it, and they've shown what politics can do to healthcare. It will destroy it. So if I was fortunate enough to get your vote, I want you to know that I represent you, only you. I don't need the job, I don't need the money. I'm doing this as God and my country demanded. I don't want to do this, folks, and I don't know that there's anyone out there that would want to do this. And my hat's off to these ladies and gentlemen to even get in the ring. This is the most despicable thing a person can have to do for their country other than losing their life. And my experience with politics has not been what I would consider a righteous undertaking. Other than that, I'll do the best I can to represent you and the values that you know that are important to America. My name is Dr. Stephen Chess. I'm here to serve. If you'd like to find out more about me, we can't do it in this type of meeting. You're welcome to call me. I'll be happy to meet with you individually, and you can find out and you can flesh out who the heck I am, because it's very, very difficult in this kind of speech. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jim. Steve, Doctor.
It's okay. It's fine.
Okay. As it relates to, working together, it certainly is one of the greatest challenges that we have right now. And one of the reasons is that, at one time when, if you go as far back as JFK, both Democrats and Republicans both were on the same page as far as the ideological direction for this country. They disagreed on how to get from point A to point B, but they both agreed that ultimately they wanted to get to point C. We are no longer there, ladies and gentlemen. Today, you have this movement within our government, and it's gotten into our society, that they want to disrupt the social and political and economic structure of this country in order to pull us apart. It's a very definitive plan that they have in order to do their transformation. Now, what that means is that we have to have a good, strong coalition of new Republicans up there that know what they're doing. The Federalist Papers, anticipated that each community would put its best foot forward and select the best candidates, the most competent individuals to represent them up in Congress. And earlier Darlene had mentioned the America First PAC. The America First PAC actually interviewed me and decided that I was the best candidate for this job. They've endorsed me. If you go to the website, America First PAC, you'll see that my picture is there, and I'm a signer to that pact. And we agreed as a group, America First candidates from around the country, that we would get together as a coalition, and we would not be pushed around. We would not let the old guard, that includes the old guard that may be left over in the Republican Party, to drive us in one direction or another, because we're going to have strength, and there's strength in numbers. And so that's one of the things that we'll do, and we'll try to move the old guard forward in the right direction and move our agenda forward. Again, I've got the most comprehensive agenda that you'll find of any candidate running across this country, and that's what I've been told. And so if you go to my website, you'll see it. And my website's on my card at jimprudenforcongress.com. So we have a lot of work to do in front of us, ladies and gentlemen, and we're in a dire situation, and we have to put our best foot forward. Okay, we cannot deal with identity politics and select a candidate because they're black or they're white or Christian or Jew or male or female. You have to select a candidate that's going to get the job done and is best qualified, because we cannot afford to put second best up there. You got a lot of good candidates, you got a lot of folks with good heart, okay, but this is way too important in this stage of the game, right? We're about to lose our country. So thank you very much, and it's a pleasure speaking to you tonight. Thank you.
Just for clarification purposes, the organization that Jim was referring to is separate and aside from the group of America First candidates that I was working with in the nation. I respect Jim, I appreciate his endorsement from that organization, but that's not the organization that I put together. So with regards to how to band together and create a coalition and take a page from the Democrats' book, because they stick together, right? They support each other, they endorse each other, and Republicans need to learn that lesson because we'd be a stronger party for it. I would use all my years of leadership when I served on boards and when I served in leadership capacities. I did a lot of event planning, whether it was business expos, workshops, event gala, fundraising events. Last year, I served as the president in Broward County for the Republican National Hispanic Assembly. So the one thing that I can share with you and that General Flynn said about me is that I'm a connector. And I try to bridge the divide in terms of personalities. I think if you have 435 members of Congress, most of them are going to be type A personalities. Well, I have nothing but type A personalities of the insurance agents that are in my business. So I feel pretty qualified to put an event together, and whether it's our own organization or creating our own caucus, the America First Caucus, if nobody wants to join it, it'll be a America First Caucus of one. And when you build, they will come, right? So I feel pretty confident that I have the skill set to make that happen and create relationships, because we're doing it on the ground right now in our campaign. Thank you.
So I like to think that we live in a country where we are far more alike than we are different. So I think honing in on the aspect that we have very similar, a very similar aspect and things in mind, and to encourage people that are doing the same thing, but understanding that we are far more alike than we are different is a good place to start. So.
Well, I want to quote my late mother-in-law, Florence Seidman, as I said, who lived here, and she would say, do the right thing. She would always say, do the right thing. Like, do you give your kids dessert or a snack at 4 before dinner? She said, no, you do the right thing, and then she'd sneak them the dark chocolate. So where I am standing on this is that I believe firmly, knowing her and many of the Jewish community and my college roommate and my husband, that the Jewish people know what to do, and they have big hearts, and they have a great ability to engage people and write letters and make phone calls. And don't underestimate the Jewish community or the people here at Century Village, because if you want to make a difference, besides voting for the right people at the polls, you all get out your pens or your emails or however you want, or phones, and you write the national level, the state level, and the county. The county doesn't always do the right thing by us. And you tell the people what you're thinking, because that really carries weight. And a heavyweight in Tallahassee told me once, write a handwritten letter. People can easily delete an email. You know, you get, if you delete. They get a handwritten letter and it's read and it's answered. So I would suggest you all engage your elected officials at every level. And remember to vet the people you're voting for. Have a look at it, take your time. Encourage your friends to get out there. I think the Democrats, a few of them might be okay, but I think there's an evil, subversive current among them. And if we're going to fight it, we have to stick together. We have to get the Democrats who are marginal and the independents. There's more independents in Palm Beach County than Republicans. We have to get them on board and fight the crazy, wild Democrat group and their ideas out there that are corrupting our youth and everyone in America. We have to get it stopped now. So please get working and join us in getting a campaign moving forward. Thank you.
Before we open up the floor for audience questions, I'm going to hand the mic over to Hilda Merwis, who will introduce our next guest.
Aren't they terrific? Really, we have fabulous candidates. And I'm so proud that you're here to share with our community, and the community is much larger thanks to the publisher of Village Century, our good friend Fred Hadley. We are so lucky to have him here all the time, sharing what we are hearing with a much larger group of people. So I'm so grateful to you and your partner, Melissa, for being here. I want to introduce, just for a few words, someone you will get to know. And her name is Suzanne Page. Suzanne, where are you? Please join me. She is one fabulous lady, and she'll let you know why, because she's going to be our key presenter in June. We meet the 4th Tuesday night of every month, and she'll let you know what that's about. Here she is, Suzanne.
I don't know if I can live up to that, Hilda, but I'm going to try. My name is Dr. Suzanne Page. I have a PhD in economics from the University of Illinois in Champaign-Urbana. Since 1977, when I started graduate school at the U of I, most of those decades I have been in the trenches with our kids, perhaps your grandchildren. I know what the schools are doing to them, and it's not good. I know Palm Beach County has now got a policy where they're going to use restraints on children who are disabled. Who decides that? Some teacher? They only have teachers, they don't have educators. There's a big difference between the two. I'm an educator. You never tell a student you can't do something. You build self-esteem. You say, yes, you can. And the feelings of inadequacy in a preschooler or a kindergartner or one of my MBA students, they're the same feelings, it's just in a bigger body, because I've looked more than one student in the eye and said, yes, you can do this. I have enough confidence in you for both of us. And they have. They can perform. More than likely, I will run in 2024. I ran against Frank Barbieri in 2020. I was drafted, had 5 weeks to campaign, $4,000 budget, and came away with 40.17% of the vote. So I had a message. I still have a message. I have a background in banking. I have a background in real estate development. I had 10 years in government. I was raised by an entrepreneur. He's not with us anymore, but I'm a Jersey girl. Don't hold that against me, please. But I will be here next month, and I plan on bringing some parents so y'all can meet them. Thank you very much.
We're going to look forward to that. We want to know what's going on in our schools. And she's the best person to tell us. She's been very active in that. And we're going to get some parents from the schools to tell us what's really going on. So we hope you put it on your calendar and join us. I just want to acknowledge the planning committee that's been working with me since July, and we are getting new people each time, and that's my message now: become a new people and join our Republican club. So my good friends from and members of our planning committee, would you just stand? Don't be shy. Come on, Roz, Elaine. You know, they were helping getting the program ready, and of course Marsha, who did a fabulous job as moderator. And so I'm so grateful. There are two things I want to share with you very quickly before we open up for questions, and brief ones if you have them. And that is, and you already heard, if you want to be a poll watcher or a poll worker, I've done both, and I'm going to be doing poll working again this year. The early voting begins August 8th, ends August 21st, and the primary is held August 23rd. So those of you who are unable to vote in person, be sure to get that absentee ballot. It's what is working best right now. Of course, we have to make sure they receive it, and we can tell you how to check. And there is a way to having it checked so that your vote is counted. We also want you, if you're considering joining our club, we want you. We need you. We're going to be working really hard in the next couple of months. And finally, if you aren't registered as a Republican, or you haven't been voting as a Republican, would you please change your mind? We need you in every way. And join our club. We're growing. It's an important mission we have. I think you've all heard what that mission is. We have the strength to do this. And it's only by working hard. And I want to tell you, I'm a letter writer. I don't just do emails. I am a letter writer. Some elected officials have staff that don't understand that they are supposed to respond when you send them a donation or write a letter. That, you know, that's a big deal. In any event, please come out, vote, I'm not gonna say often, vote once, right? For each election. Other people are doing that, we won't. And consider becoming a poll watcher and or a poll worker. Poll workers get paid, but it's a long, hard job. So I'm going to turn it over to Marcia now, who has done a fabulous job as moderator, don't you think?
Okay, anybody have any questions? And if you do, please direct the questions because of the time element to an individual candidate. And you can line up here, and Fred Hadley keeps on waving his hand.
Can I have a question?
Oh, you do it?
Sure.
Listen, you own this place right now, in spite of Stanley.
Hi, I'm Fred Hadley. I am a Democrat, but I try to help out the Republican Club, as you all know. There is a coalition of environmental groups that in the last week or two, and it's bipartisan, by the way. One of the leaders is Republican Treasure Coast Congressman Brian Mast.
Oh, okay.
And the goal of this coalition is to get politicians in the state of Florida to stop taking donations from Big Sugar. Big Sugar is poisoning our air through the pre-harvest burns of sugar leaf, which is cost-effective but very injurious to the environment, and by poisoning the waterways by runoff from the Lake O region, which affects tourism and people that live near the coast. So my question to all of you wonderful candidates is, would you, and all this information is of course available on websites, would you let us know whether you are taking money from Big Sugar, and if you are, would you consider giving it back? And if you aren't, would you consider joining your fellow Republican Brian Mast and saying no more donations from Big Sugar? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Fred. Does anybody have any questions?
Can we get an answer? How good's a question without an answer? We all get to answer, just one?
Yes, I'm pro-Florida protection of our waterways and our marine life. And if you go to votewater.org, they rank me 100% on protecting Florida's environment.
And are you taking donations?
Well, I'm not an elected official, and I would never take money that would I would never be compromised, period. Because in doing so, you're selling out your own community. My son lives here, my mom lives here, my business is here. So there's zero concerns as far as that goes.
Thank you. Don't go anywhere.
All right, thank you. Well, you're absolutely right for being concerned. You know, Ted Deutsch got 98% of his money from outside the state of Florida. Make no mistake about it, he did not represent the Florida citizens. He represented the folks from California and New York. And one of the bigger donors of the donors that came from Florida was Big Sugar, right? And so thank goodness Ted Deutsch is not running this cycle. Now, I'm a strong supporter of you know, the economy here and the water rights. I've actually met with and worked with Ron Bergeron. He's been appointed by the governor. He's been involved in a lot of the Everglades restoration projects. As you may know or may not know, they reworked the Kissimmee River coming down from Orlando to Lake Okeechobee to again reverse the damage that was done by Big Sugar. They put the ways back into the canal. They again have the floodplain, which filters the water. They've also, you know, constructed the retention ponds that come off going to the Akalucha River and the St. Lucie estuary, and again to filter water so that we can again start having good clean water, because we have to have good strong stability in our water system, especially flowing south, because we have a tremendous problem with saltwater intrusion coming into our system here. And so there's a lot of great work that's being done. The federal government was a partner in that restoration. In fact, it was the most expensive restoration done in the history of the world as far as water restoration done, and there's a lot of good progress with that. And as a congressman, I would continue to support the efforts and get funding and support funding for that continued effort to restore our waterway system. Thank you.
Any donations?
No, I have no donations Okay, my donations come from inside the state of Florida. I have 99% of my donations come from here. The only donations I have are like a couple $100 from classmates that were living out of state. Other than that, my donations, come from inside, and I personally have funded. Before I take money from Big Sugar or any special interest group, I'm taking money out of my pocket. That's my commitment to this country. I put in close to $250,000 of my own money in the last election, and I intend to put in about the same amount on this go around, and I will not take special interest money, absolutely.
Thank you. In answer to your question, there's a number of things that can be done. I'm knowledgeable about a technology that will clean all the water and all of the soil, and it's current, and it's being processed now. They come in with modular trucks, and they actually sell them or rent them. They clean all the water and all the soil, and they do it environmentally perfectly. It was amazing technology. It's out there, it will happen. No, I don't take any money from anybody. I'm self-funding. We use our retirement funds because we think this is the most important thing we can leave as a legacy to our children and grandchildren. As far as school is concerned, you need to take your kids out of school, and I really recommend the Chabad schools for the young kids and yeshivas for the old kids until things get straightened out. But I take no money from anyone. I don't want to be beholding. Whenever you take money from any person, okay, you're obligated in some way or form, and that's what's wrong in Washington. Everybody's got their hand out. You've got to stop it. You've got to give money only to candidates, not to clubs, not to organizations. Go to the candidate, vet the candidate like this lady said, and then give it to them in their campaign fund and let them use it for advertising. That's the only thing the money is good for, by the way. I only use it for advertising, and it's very expensive. But if we don't get the word out, the Democrats, they demagogue you, and you end up believing that Putin is the cause of the high fuel prices.
10 seconds.
I'm done.
Okay. Anybody else?
Thank you. Water's a big, brief? Okay, I'll be brief. Water. Another problem with the water system are the septic tanks. All over North Florida, especially Central and in Ocean Ridge, which is the county pocket, they're popping up because of too much groundwater. They also pollute the Everglades and Lake Okeechobee. As far as my campaign, we're self-funded except for some family and friends and neighbors. I have not taken any money from any coalition or anyone. But I will tell you, the Highland Beach water, we dug down 3 times further than Boca Raton, and we are in a second lowest aquifer. And I'm recommending that Boca Raton go that route soon, because due to deep well injections from Boca Raton south to Key West, some of these water systems that we're all drinking and we will drink and our future generations will drink may very well be polluted, not only from the dredging and the Lake Okeechobee problems, but also due to these other factors. Water, we're surrounded by water. We're basically a peninsula sitting on, bobbing on water. We all need to keep a look on this. Thank you.
I'm not, and all the donations that have been given to the campaign have been from people in District 91 or Palm Beach County here. So.
Okay. Your question? He's been waiting.
Thank you. My name's Adam Chess. I'm actually on council with the Ticton Law Group, and I just wanted to clarify something. The Ticton Law Group does not endorse any candidates, nor do we represent any of the potential candidates up here. If there's any confusion, I just want to make sure that was clear. It seems as
Peter Ticton did endorse me.
We'll clarify that. Just like Mr. Flynn and a couple of the people that have not endorsed you, that you're claiming to endorse you, as well as the Coral Ridge Presbyterian Church.
General Flynn has endorsed me. The letter's on our website.
Mm-hmm.
Every single endorsement I have the evidence on the website.
Really?
Yeah, really.
Coral Ridge Presbyterian Church?
Coral Ridge Presbyterian Church backs our campaign. They had me stand up 3 times during a service.
I just wanted to clarify something. I do.
I'm sorry.
And I just had a quick question. Yes. Do you still support Q and your oath Q?
The oath is not Q. It's the oath to defend the Constitution against enemies, foreign and domestic. That's the oath that I took.
So that's a true oath, right?
It's not a true oath. That is the oath to defend the Constitution. Okay. And Peter Tickton did endorse our campaign openly. He endorsed our campaign.
Okay, besides Jim, I haven't heard about anybody qualifying to be on the ballot. So I wanted to know how far each candidate was on getting on the ballot.
You have two choices to get on the ballot, okay? The first choice is by petition. And if you're industrious and you get out there and you hand out the ballots, the petition ballots, you can get 2,000-3,000 people to allow you to run, or you can pay the $10,400. One of the issues I had was I felt in my campaign, since I was a new candidate, that I wanted you to know I had skin in the game. And that's why I didn't take any donations at all. I self-funded. And consequently, I'm going to end up paying the $10,400 so that I can appear on the ballot. It's very expensive to run. As Jim mentioned to you, he put a lot of money into it last time. He was the only candidate, in my opinion, of any worth that ran, so he did get most of the Republican votes, but there's a new sheriff in town. I'm it. And I think that I'm going to be able to acquire more votes than anyone who's ever run before for Ted's seat. Also, you notice that everyone's a come lately in my race. I started a year and 4 months ago before Ted had announced that he was not going to run.
The answer to the question is?
What's the answer?
Well, you said it. You're self-funding, and we appreciate that answer. Your answer?
Yeah, just again, real quick, you're right. There are two choices. You can qualify by petition, or you can pay your $10,400 fees. And myself and my team got out and we got our petitions, and we are qualifying by petition. We turned in over 3,100 petitions, and we got over the bar with that. Again, that demonstrates the level of support that we still have in the community. The folks out there, I met with them. They remember me from last time. Said, "Thank God, I'm glad you're running again," and absolutely will sign up. So we're happy to save those funds because those we can use towards advertising.
Thank you. With regards to becoming verified on the ballot, we have close to 2,000 petitions that we had signed and verified. So I think it's just under 2,000, or perhaps maybe just over 2,000, but they're still counting them. So we were not able to get the 2,568 that were required, so we're going to pay the filing fee. We have outraised our Republican competitors. In fact, I'm the most endorsed. All the evidence is on our website with regards to letters or video endorsements. You can call every single one of the people that are endorsed individuals. You can call them directly and ask them, do they support us? When you're the front runner, this is what happens. You get attacked. You notice I was the only one singled out. That's the evidence that I'm the front runner. Thank you.
So I submitted the petitions necessary in order to make it on the ballot instead of paying the fee. So I submitted close to 900, and you needed $599 to make it on the ballot, and I got that. So.
Likewise, yes, I collected petitions for 2 months, and I submitted well over 840, and they're still counting them, thanks to my family and friends. And what was the other question? That's it. Thank you.
That doesn't work. No, it's going to be a battery. It's a low battery.
Yeah. I understand that the petitions are due June 16th. Is that incorrect?
A week ago, 1 week ago.
So someone at the REC meeting gave the wrong information. Yeah, okay. So are there any other questions? Yes. Very briefly, please.
Hi, my name is Alan Goldberg. I'm a new resident to Century Village.
Welcome.
I'm also a photographer. I do a lot of wildlife, landscapes, and other musicians and stuff like that. I've noticed the change in color because of, from what I'm told, dumping into the lake that's here. When can that stop? Or who do you have to contact to get it stopped? Because it's not good for the animals that are here. I understand there's the iguana, but it's all wastewater that's coming in, and it changes the water that's here, and it takes about 2 or 3 years for it to cycle back to being normal.
She has an answer for you. Let her do that.
Yes, thank you. This was raised when my in-laws lived here still. There's a couple things you can do. The invasive iguanas, which are now allowed to be euthanized, do present a large droppings, and they are toxic to most other animals and wildlife. Secondly, you check on your landscaper, because I know in Guilford they address this. If the landscaper is using certain chemicals, pesticides, and fertilizers, those just promote algae blooms, which suffocate any fish or in the wildlife, the passing ducks and geese in the fall and spring. And you all should check with your century landscapers and see what they're doing or not doing. It's better to have weeds in the grass than kill off the fish and the ducks. So those are 2 areas. I don't think you have septic tanks here anymore, but you can check on that. No septic. No. And then your other thing is, I'm not sure if you have a water flow from, if these lakes are fed underground or from a stream, but those can carry chemicals in from outside. Thank you.
Just rainwater.
It's just the rainwater.
Well,
check on what your landscapers are doing. Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes. Last question.
You're talking about Republican. Oh, okay. About the Republican and Democrat. Democrat had better advertisement than Republican. Last year I went to vote. There were 4 signs on Democrat. There was only one man, one man holding a big sign, and maybe 2 girls, and that's it. I said, here we want to advertise. You said, nobody. And then also, last year, I called up the Republican. I said, I want to volunteer to do something. As soon as they heard my accent, they hang up. So it's true. So you want people to advertise?
Listen, I grew up with an accent. I wasn't born here, so I learned how to speak like everybody else. Of course, everyone is welcome to work with us. We need everyone on board. We really, really do. Our club is growing, and it's growing because we need to work to do the job that we're required to do, you know. And that is to take back the House, to take back the Senate, and to continue to work with our governor and senator. They are the best that we could possibly have had in this critical time. So I am so grateful that all of you are here. I'm grateful to all of you for having come. Don't forget us. Come to our meetings. You know, next time will be about schools and parents and that kind of responsibility, and I was happy to hear what you had to say. I also want to end by thanking the president of this temple, Howard Rosenhaus, and the treasurer of this temple, Stanley Siegel. God bless them. They enable us to have our meetings each month. They encourage us. The custodial staff helps us. So we are so grateful that they are doing a good deed, a good mitzvah for us. And we are so grateful to all of you for coming. Don't forget, Suzanne Page is going to be here next month. She's bringing her parents to talk about what is not supposed to be going on in schools. Thank you very much for coming. God bless.
Time gesehen.
Like this, yes.
Thank you.